All right, Dan, the red light's on. So this is where all the pressure is. I'm sure you can feel it right now. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm on the podcast. It's probably
Yes,
really intense. Well, let's do a quick sound
crazy.
check. Why don't you tell my listeners what you had for breakfast this morning?
This morning, it's 5 p.m. now in Amsterdam, and I just had my breakfast, which is a bit
Just had
weird,
it.
but yeah, turned out to be a little sandwich, bit on the late side.
Okay, all right. Any particular kind of sandwich? Was it a fancy sandwich? Just a
It
grilled
was a
cheese? What
fancy
kind of?
sandwich. It was grilled goat cheese with spinach.
Oh, that's tasty.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah. Goat cheese is one of those things for me. It's like sometimes I really like it, and sometimes I'm like, nah, I'm not into it.
No,
Do you like goat cheese a lot? Are you a big goat cheese fan?
no, it's just what they had. They were kind of sold out at the bakery, so the last one.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, I think we're sounding good. Why don't we jump into actually why we're talking, not just about breakfast foods. Why don't you tell my listeners what you just finished raising money for over on Kickstarter and what you're currently moving on to Indiegogo in demand. What tell us about your product?
Yeah, that's the buckle, and buckle is a new accessory, something that didn't exist yet, and it's a kind of a fancy premium tool to tighten the waistband of your pants and skirts. So it's basically the replacement of your belt.
Hmm. So for our people who can't see this or haven't looked at it, kind of walk us through how do you describe that? So it's not a belt, right?
Now,
And it's a buckle. So like tell us like how do you describe this to somebody who can't see it?
yeah, it's funny. I've been on the radio before, and I had to describe it as well. So I had kind of indications. So it's half the size of a credit card, and it's basically made of two main components that move the contradicting way
Mhm.
and make a kind of Z shape of your waistband. So they yeah, that's the way they tie. Yeah, it's hard to explain indeed,
Yeah.
but it's a premium clip made of stainless steel, 360 stainless steel. That's what Rolex used to be made of, and it has the weight of 59 grams. Yeah,
And this is
that's
something just so people are clear too. It's not something that you actually it's replacing your belt basically, right? Like you don't really need
yeah,
a belt,
yeah.
correct?
You don't need the leather part, so the strap of your belt anymore. It's basically only the buckle.
Mhm. And men and women, right? Because I remember when I was looking at the
Yeah,
page and stuff, I'm seeing
yeah.
women using it for skirts and stuff too, right?
Yeah, the funny thing is most men like the design. So more men than women like the design of buckle. It's quite a masculine design. Um, but the function on the other side, on the other hand, is way more interesting for women because, for example, skirts do not have the belt loops
Mhm.
like all pants have. So the problem was way more there for the women,
Hmm.
and that's
That's interesting.
yeah.
So like I guess for you then, you and your business partner, like how did you guys like come up with this? Where was the idea to even start making something like this?
Well, it started with a problem of my own, but not the problem it turned out to be. So it started with a kind of a fashionable problem. I didn't like the look of a belt, so I had some pants always too large. That happens way more often actually because the fashion industry is more and more changing to mass industry and is kind of losing the eye for perfection. So pens do not have the size of a 50, 51, 52, but the small, medium, or large.
Hmm.
So the steps are bigger. So most of those pens are not the perfect fit anymore. So I was thinking there should be something, a tool to give you the perfect fit again, but without wearing that visible belt.
Hmm.
And then together with my business partner, who is a bit more, has some more skills in technique, we started developing and drawing and brainstorming around the kitchen table just with a cold six pack of beers and as friends. And yeah, it turned out to be very interesting to people. And we started spending more time and more yeah, more hours on the development, and slowly came to this invention.
Hmm. So, so in that process, after you start getting a little bit of feedback, what's the first step out of the gate? Are you going to Google? I mean, what do you start to do to to kind of move that ball forward after, you know, maybe just having some drinks and going, yeah, that's a cool idea. But like what do you start to do?
Yeah, you start, well, out of your own enthusiasm, you start talking to other people, and see how they respond. And actually, people were pretty enthusiastic, and even people said this is something I was always looking for,
Hmm.
or I didn't know I was looking for it, and now it's here. So it's because of these positive reactions, we started to yeah, to continue and to grow and to spend money on it, and build a business out of it.
Now, inside of your team, between you and your business partner, like, I guess who has? Do both of you have this skill set? But like, what's the skill set to start designing an actual product? Like knowing where to go, manufacturing. It just feels like such an uphill battle for most people. Like, how did you guys know how to navigate that?
Yeah, well, I'm more focused on the outside of the product, so the design.
Mm,
I wanted to look like what it looks now. And my partner is rather looking at the technical side. So that's basically two sides that are continuously in conflict with each other, because the technical side wants stronger, more sustainable, whatever, and I wanted thinner,
mm.
lighter, shiny, nice, whatever. So it's basically continuously finding the right balance between those two. And my business partner has experience with a web shop. He designed a bike hanging system,
Mm.
so quite a technical invention, and he knows how to run a web shop and the logistics and everything. So from there, you start building the structure of your business. And I used to have an enterprise too, so we are both yeah, have a commercial mindset in these terms. So yeah, from there you start slowly building your business, and yeah, that's basically it.
That's cool. So through that whole process, how long are we talking from a couple beers, you know, and an idea to, you know, to kind of getting either that first prototype or a prototype that you felt like was really something? How long was that process?
Well, during that time around the kitchen table, we managed to develop our own prototype. So we you start with some drawings, then you start testing with the plastic. You cut out the a soap can or whatever, and start making it of plastic. And then finally we found or we used a soldering iron to make a real metal one. I can send you pictures afterwards,
Hmm.
or videos of that prototype. That was our own prototype made by us and no one else. And then with someone from our own network, we got some technical or graphic designs
Hmm.
digitally, and that was basically our max. So that was the cap of our technical skills. And
Mhm.
from there, we started working together with professionals who knew the software, and who knew if you do this, then that wouldn't be possible anymore, etc. All the technical stuff. And they have been developing for like a year. So from the first beer until the very final product, it was 1.5 year.
Hmm.
But from the kitchen table to our first prototype was not even a month. So that
Wow,
went
that's
quite
great.
quickly. Yeah,
Yeah, that's really great. You know,
yeah.
so throughout that, maybe that year, let's talk about maybe that sort of time chunk. You know, what was the thing that was like keeping you guys up at night, or the thing that you were like really worried about? What was like the biggest hurdle in that portion of it?
Definitely the pace. We kind of impatient with regards to our ambition. So we wanted to speed up, to sell. You know, you want to keep yourself busy with things you can actually see and not just dream. So that's something. And there's always a possibility with something like this that it it wouldn't go. So people wouldn't there wouldn't be any demand for it. So even till the last moment, we have taken 1.5 years before we launched. Even after that 1.5 year, we could have just yeah, get any buckle sold.
Hmm.
So that's always the risk, and we were happy to take that risk because we learned a lot on our way, and we expanded our network like crazy. But it's always a chance that you did all the work on Bucqle for nothing.
Right, right. How about in that same time period? Was there a moment where you really knew that you had something that you should continue forward? Like, this isn't stupid, but was there a moment where I don't know if it's like a real prototype, like it felt like it had the right weight? Like, was there a moment that you just knew you had something?
Well, that's basically the because you have been pitching with only words for
Mhm.
a while. It's only maybe drawings of yourself or the explanations you have, but nothing tangible. And from the moment we had our first official prototype created by the professionals, we had something working that was actually tightening our pants. And from that moment we saw it was a really neat solution and a really neat function. And as soon as you start showing this to people and you see the twinkling in their eyes when they see how it works, from that moment you think, okay, let's do it, and we're never going to stop this until it's a success. And now
That's
you
cool.
see we have a kind of a proof of concept.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So where in this time frame does launching on Kickstarter come into your mind as like, hey, we want to use this as a vehicle to, to do what?
Yeah, it has from the very beginning. We knew about Kickstarter, and we knew about yeah, people who had success on Kickstarter. So we started talking to some people, and then suddenly one of my uh, one of my friends. Sorry, there's a neighbor being grumpy about this conversation. He's an old neighbor. Um, so and then from some point we heard about people having success in this, and using Kickstarter not just for the funding but for as a marketing tool. And
Mhm.
that's exactly how we used it. We didn't care too much about the funds. I mean, we needed money, and it's always very nice to have money and to use it to have your to make your business grow. But the main point of our Kickstarter was to show people that that like now 4,000 people already bought, so they can trust the company, and they can trust this new product.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, let's flip over to the actual like, Kickstarter. So we haven't really talked numbers yet, but this was a huge successfully campaign, right? You guys did almost. I'm looking at US here. I think about 225,000. You had almost
Yes.
3,000 over 3,100 backers. So a lot of interest, a lot of excitement. Clearly, in 31 days, people said, "I want this campaign," right? Or "I want the buckle," right?
Yeah.
So what were you looking for stat wise maybe before you launched? Like what was that pre-launch strategy looking like? Like how did you get ready to hit that launch button on your campaign?
um yeah, we had kind of a long time to think of a launch plan, and we had very clear steps actually, and they all had to do something with marketing. So we started with generating email subscribers with just the ads. So with the final prototype, which was eventually the one we're going to sell, we started making a promo video. With that promo video, we started marketing, do the pre-marketing with Google ads, with Facebook ads, and try to get people subscribing to our pre-order list in return for a 60% discount.
Mm.
So we had that base to yeah, be alarmed as soon as we go live, as soon as we went live. and try to make a kickstart of our campaign with this, because it's actually Kickstarter is all about how to trigger that algorithm and how to make sure people or Kickstarter sees that they can make money on us, and then they will eventually push you as well. So you have that base of email subscribers. On top, you have your inner circle who should support you from the very beginning. So we send out the mass WhatsApp list. We post it on our own Instagram, on our own Facebook, LinkedIn, everything.
Hmm.
So we basically called it the Bucqle Big Bang, and that was the marketing bang which should start everything running. And then during Kickstarter, we worked with another marketing agency who supported us along the journey.
That's cool. Now you mentioned WhatsApp, right? Was WhatsApp a
Yeah,
big part of your solution? Because here in America, we don't use it a lot, and it's something for us as an agency. We keep thinking like, for our global campaigns, we have to start finding ways to start utilizing this.
yeah.
Is it? I mean, is it just more in your guys' culture to use WhatsApp as opposed to here? Or?
Yeah, you use it on a daily basis, every moment of the day. Basically, when you chat to your friends, you use WhatsApp. And if I was living in another country, for example, the US, and we use another software to chat with friends, then I would use that software. So it's not WhatsApp in particular. It's just
Mhm.
the way I communicate with my inner circle, and I can directly talk to them. Because if you, for example, throw something in a group chat, then there's always a collective opinion. So you need to target people individually
Mm.
and all speak to them directly and tell them, please buy this, do it for me, or don't do it. But at
Mm.
least we are asking for your support, because this is our first Kickstarter, and we need yeah, this is our only chance to win.
Yeah. Now, just more specific on that, because I'm always intrigued
Oh,
on
yeah,
how you
sure.
might have utilized it. Um, was it mostly just personal, or were you doing any sort of like multi mass messaging at all through it? Because I know there are some scenarios like that, but it doesn't seem like there's that many. Or was it just a personal one-to-one type of tool?
No, it's just what do you mean, the WhatsApp messages or
WhatsApp,
the
yeah, the WhatsApp messages. Like,
yeah,
was there any sort of
yeah.
business where you could do anything in like mass at all, like send a
No, no,
hundred
no, no,
people it?
no,
No.
no, no. Yeah, yeah. You can create a WhatsApp list with your personal contacts and send all your contacts from that list the same message at the same time, but they will only receive it when they have your number as well
Hmm.
saved to
Gotcha,
their
gotcha.
phone.
Right.
So it's not in charge with any regulations regarding GDPR or something.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. So, was there anything interesting maybe in this campaign that kind of blew you guys away? I mean, you had a ton of backers, ton of support, but was there something you were like, man, I was not expecting this?
Well, we didn't expect that so many different companies, large companies from so many different countries would like to do business with us.
Mm,
People were literally saying, I want to do the exclusive distribution of your product in Japan, in
mm,
Korea, in China, Taiwan, US, UK, every country. There was somebody willing to do business with us, and that's also something we couldn't answer directly, because I mean there's still some work to do before we can consider us an official company. We still need to deliver after Kickstarter,
mhm.
but it's really nice to see that you're taken seriously if you have results online, and that's basically what we were yeah, why we were doing this on Kickstarter.
It's cool. That's cool. So, you know, now that the campaign's over, money starts to come in, you start thinking about these next steps. What's happening for this next year for you to get these the belt the buckles into people's hands?
Yeah, that's a good question. We are currently sampling, so we made the last changes on the design to make it more sustainable. This was something we needed money for, so we raised the money. We finished the designs, then we start sampling, start creating the molds. produced a large batch, so the first actual mass production, and from there it's being shipped to the Netherlands, and from there it's shipped worldwide. So as soon as we are ready to ship, we launch our web shop, and perhaps continue with Indiegogo after that as well. But at least until that moment, we are for sale on Indiegogo.
Mm.
So until that moment, we work with discounts because people need to wait a little bit longer for their orders after it's just the 100% price. And from there, yeah, you start expanding your business. We want to scale up, produce more, sell more, work with yeah, a selection of retailers, perhaps. Yeah, also some stuff we will see along the journey.
Now, how has this new world that we're all living in affected either the campaign or manufacturing or any of your sort of timelines? Have you guys been impacted at all?
Yeah, yeah. Well, we are very lucky that we still made success during these times, because
Mm.
many people didn't, and it's very sad to hear. But yeah, there's not a conversation without talking a little bit about this topic. So I expected this question. Um, but yeah, I think I told other people as well, if we launched 1 month earlier, we would have raised at least a third more.
Mm.
If we launched a month later, we would have earned a third less at least.
Right.
And what we saw was a lot of cancellations.
Mm.
The more on the days that there were specific news messages. So, for example, the day the lockdown started in many countries, then we saw a lot of people withdrawing their pledge.
Wow.
And what you cannot see is the people who didn't pledge at all because of
Mm.
this situation.
Right. Right. How do you guys sort of move forward in this, knowing like this is just what it is? Like, how do you guys handle it? What do you guys what are the conversations like? How would you advise another business right now who's in maybe in a similar state?
What concerning the corona
Yeah,
situation, or
coronavirus, manufacturing, backer updates, just all this, just kind of everything around us right now.
yeah, just be very transparent towards your customer. So yeah, backers in this case, and just make sure you keep everything going, and stay positive at all times. We saw some things weren't working. Okay, let's leave that. If it doesn't flow, let it go, and start working on the things that do work and the marketing techniques that do work. And yeah, you need to make the best of it. Otherwise, you won't survive.
Sure, sure. So
And stay inside.
and stay inside. Yeah, exactly. So for you guys, is this something that you guys are envisioning making more products in this same sort of design aesthetic around pants and that sort of stuff, or do you guys see yourself making all kinds of different things? I guess mostly in the fashion industry, or do you guys see yourself making all kinds of different stuff?
Well, the last thing for sure. But concerning Bucqle, there are many possibilities to create different tools to make different pieces of clothing perfectly fit, or whatever. People start suggesting some tools for us to develop already. So that's
Mhm.
also funny to see. But in general, it's just very we are kind of creative in what we do, I believe, and also learned a lot about how to make a business out of it. So we like to put our creativity on paper, and then make it become reality, and sell it to the world, and continue again.
That's cool. Well, how can people learn more, dive into your guys' ecosystem, kind of figure out what you guys are working on outside of the Kickstarter? Where should people go?
Keep track of our journey on Instagram. So the social media is mainly our yeah, our display. And as soon as our web shop goes live, check out the web shop, and we will post a story about ourselves, and some blog posts about the steps we make. So those are the two spots where people can follow us.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Dan, I'm going to make sure in our show notes that we have the Kickstarter link and any social media links, that sort of stuff, so people can find you.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you taking time out of your day here to chat about this. I know you guys got a lot going on, and this was a great conversation, really awesome product. And I'm glad you guys could hit an absolute home run. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Bye now.
Bye-bye.